Hello and welcome to episode 579 of the podcast devoted to the classic and sometimes not so classic genre cinema of yesteryear. It's Monster Kid Radio, and I'm your writer, host, producer, Derek M. Cook, welcoming you to this episode with a new song, Shaky Dracrophobula. It's from the band The Wet Ones from their album The Monster of Jungle Island. You can find them over at thewetones.bandcamp.com. Go check them out. Let them know that Monster Kid Radio sent you when you're done listening to this episode of the podcast. What do we have cooked up this week? Well, you heard Kenny talk about Monster Bash in the last episode, and we're going to keep the Monster Bash love train rolling with a recording from Monster Bash, courtesy of Mike R., friend of the show, somebody who has provided recordings from Monster Bash to the podcast in the past. This time around, he has us a recording from the Caroline Munro Q&A from Monster Bash. I did edit it a little bit, and of course I fiddled with the knobs a little bit so that you can maybe hear it just a little bit better, but it's an awesome recording to begin with, so big shout out to Mike for sending this in. I really appreciate him doing this, and you know what? I even learned something. I'll tell you a little bit about that towards the end of the show. Now, it wouldn't be another episode of Monster Kid Radio without at least one segment sent in by one of our amazing contributors, and this time around, we have Mark Matzke's Beta Capsule review. He is deep into the Ultra 7, and, well, it's another good installment. It's another great episode, and it's another fun episode of Monster Kid Radio. I can't wait to share it with you, so why don't we get to it right now.
Night has fallen, and the time has come to experience terror at Collinwood, a podcast dedicated to the iconic Gothic television series Dark Shadows. Terror at Collinwood explores the hidden secrets within the sinister walls of the Collins estate. Hosted by two-time Rondo Award-winning television horror hostess Penny Dreadful, the podcast features interviews and in-depth discussions with fans and creators as they examine the cursed characters and supernatural storylines of that creepy classic, Dark Shadows. Beware the night and the restless dead who wail on Widow's Hill, and prepare yourself for terror at Collinwood, a Dark Shadows podcast. Available at terroratcollinwood.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Seance, The I Ching, or wherever you get your scary podcasts.
The coffin opens and terror reaches out from beyond the grave as the twins of evil evoke the power of vampirism and witchcraft.
Twins of evil. They use the satanic power of their bodies to turn men and women into their blood slaves.
Twins of evil.
Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
I am Dr. Lee Cushing. Welcome to my Chamber of Horrors.
Dr. Cushing's Chamber of Horrors is a monster rally novel in the tradition of the classic Universal and Hammer horror film. It's written by Stephen D. Sullivan, the award-winning author of White Zombie, Daikaiju Attack, Manos the Hands of Fate, and one of the creators of the original Chill role-playing game.
This book recreates the thrills of the classic Monster vs. Monster film. We've got vampires, werewolves, mummies, psychic twins, scheming madmen, and plenty of unexpected chills.
Now you can get Dr. Cushing's Chamber of Horrors in print, or for Kindle at Amazon.com and other fine retailers. Coming soon in other ebook formats. Find out more at CushingHorrors.com or SDSullivan.com, and support Steve's work through Patreon at HeySteve.com.
I do hope you've enjoyed your visit. Please come again. And remember, the chamber is always waiting for its next victim.
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. Furuhashi is made to return to the North in Ultra 7, Episode 24, but it's under false pretenses. His sister Mana concocted a story about their mother being ill to lure Furuhashi back to Hokkaido. When he discovers the fib, he returns back to base, only to be followed by his mother, who does indeed want him to return home. Meanwhile, something is messing with the instruments of Terrestrial Defense Force and commercial aircraft, causing them to collide in midair. Furuhashi is assigned to an air patrol over the Arctic, and when his plane falls under alien control, Captain Kiriyama hatches a plan to let the Ultra Hawk 3 self-destruct after Furuhashi bails out. However, Furuhashi is unable to eject, making a collision with a passenger plane of virtual certainty, leading to an emotional radio conversation between mother and son. Zeroing in on the alien base, Dan unleashes capsule monster Wyndham, but when an alien ray scrambles his electronic brain, Ultra 7 finds himself squaring off against his own ally, to humorous effect. Will Alien Canon succeed in keeping Furuhashi on a flight path to destruction? Return to the North does many things very well, especially giving Ultra Guard stalwart Furuhashi, played by Sandayu Dokumamashi, plenty of time to shine. Always a compelling presence since the Ultraman days, Dokumamashi owns every moment of screen time in Episode 24, most especially the scene in which he's in radio contact with his mother, while hurtling towards certain doom. The story is so focused on Furuhashi's personal life and relationships with the Ultra Guard that the alien plot is truly incidental, and it works, even though it means no new kaiju appear. Viewers are treated to the return of Wyndham, however, leading to a comedic scuffle that may have been offered as a counterbalance to the intense drama of Furuhashi's plight. Tonally, it doesn't exactly match, but admirers of the capsule monster will find it easy to overlook. What's harder to understand is why the capsule monsters were not utilized more often, but it's a concept that later series such as Ultra Galaxy would thoroughly explore. Wyndham fans, of course, were thrilled by 2020's Ultraman Z, in which Wyndham played a continuing role as part of the storage defense team, along with robots Sevenger and King Joe. For Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review, this is Mark Matzke reporting.
You know what? I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to say this. King Joe, one of my absolute favorite. Can we call him a kaiju? I mean, he's a giant robot, but King Joe is one of my absolute favorite kaiju from the Ultraman franchise. He's not my absolute favorite, but if I had to do like a top 5, King Joe is right there. Mark, thanks for sending this in, man. I really appreciate you. Oh, and listeners, stay tuned because Mark and I have been talking about him coming on to do an episode of Monster Kid Radio, kind of similar to what Kenny just did last week, but with a different convention. Fingers and tentacles crossed, it all works out.
Come on the most fantastic and terrifying journey of your life, 4,000 miles into the center of the Earth, to a world within our world, at the Earth's core. Now, American International Pictures hurls you at supersonic speeds with Doug McClure and Peter Cushing to a world peopled by creatures beyond your wildest nightmares. The Mosaps, whose fiery breath withers trees and plants. The vicious Mahars, bird women who feed on human flesh. The giant Baz, lizard-like behemoths with poison fangs. The cruel Sagoths, animal-faced soldiers of Pellucidar, ruled by the Princess Dia, whose seductive beauty can drive men mad. Come on the most incredible voyage ever dared by man. Edgar Rice Burroughs at the Earth's core. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
For dear life, hold on to your blood. Because your blood is their life. Because your nightmare is their reality. They are history's deadliest vampires, creating the panic only one man can stop. Captain Kronos, vampire hunter, with death at every doorway, trembling in every heart. Now, the terror must be challenged. Who lives to destroy the curse?
Kill me! Kill me!
Who duels to battle the undead?
Her youth will pulse through your veins, my darling.
Who dares to bleed the bloodthirsty?
Yes, you bleed, my lord.
At last, horror has met its match. Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter, from Paramount Pictures, rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
Dracula is back. In the first now Dracula movie, Dracula AD 1972. And with this new motion picture, an unrivaled event, Horror Ritual. You will participate with the Transylvanian vampire himself, swearing you in as an honorary member of the Count Dracula Society. He comes back from the living dead to extend you his personal invitation.
Join me in the horror ritual.
You heard it with your own ears, from his blood-red lips. Get your honorary membership card when you see the new Dracula movie, Dracula AD 1972, and participate in the Horror Ritual. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
But right now, here she is with Bob Pellegrino, Caroline in the role.
Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure to have Carolyn back. She's a VASH veteran. Been here at least twice, I believe, right?
I have, yes, I have.
Carolyn, always good having you. It's so nice to have you back.
I tell you what, it's so nice to be back here. You are the best audience because you're so warm and real, and I like that. I'm a people's person, and I like people. You're just wonderful. You really are.
What's your character in the slide will love me? You know, I mean, it was such a, it's so well done, and I love that scene where you're up in the helicopter and you're shooting at Roger Moore, James Bond, and you give him a little smile. He looks up at you, he gives you that trademark Roger Moore smile.
He does the eyebrow.
And the eyebrow, of course. What was it like working with Roger?
I tell you what, I was so lucky to have him as my man. I was lucky to have Bond, to start off with, really. Lucky mine. But he was as charming and kind and modest and the most decent man, one of the most decent men I've ever worked with, I've been joy to work with. And he was also so giving as an actor. I remember what he did because I was scared stiff. I mean, I was scared to get the Bond film to start off with. I couldn't believe I'd actually got a part. And then we were flown in a private plane to Sardinia, which was quite a beautiful place. And then I got to meet Roger for real. And I was quite shaky. I had baby elephants in my tummy. They weren't butterflies, they were big butterflies. So yes, I had the elephants jumping on. But I couldn't have been more wrong because he was just so sweet and welcoming. And he'd be there when I did my lines, he'd do his lines to me, and then he'd stand there. Rather than some of the bigger actors can just give you a hand, or if they don't give you a hand to be your eye line, then the first AD stands in and does it for them. But he was just so giving, and I guess that's just joy working with him. He was just delightful and funny, witty, quick, and very modest and very, I would call it self-deprecating. I think he didn't think he was a great actor, and to me he was such a good actor because he gave of himself. And I think that is, for a person to give himself, is pretty.
Oh, absolutely. At least for me, he was my generation's James Bond.
He was yours?
Oh yeah, without question.
Yeah.
I liked Sean Connery, but Roger Moore was it for me. I so much enjoyed him. Of course, you did your films for Hammer and Dracula AD with Christopher Lee. Tell us about that.
He was extraordinary to work with, and I think he was the reason I carried on working. because it became a turning point with me working with him, because he was so good at what he did and so believable. He was extraordinary Dracula. And again, it's funny because I think the bigger the actor, the more, because they don't put them to prove because they're there anyway. So they're obviously wanting the overall film and the play or film or television to look good. So therefore, they're giving of themselves, and it's nice if the actor and the other actor can kind of meet them halfway. And I think again, Christopher was that way. He's very giving. He wanted it to be done correctly and as good as it could be done, very professional. And I requested, I'm sure I've said this before, but I requested I didn't actually want to see him before. I used to sit and do my knitting while we waited while the other actors were on, and we sat and chatted away, and he's really silly, he's normal clothes. And then I said to Alan Vincent, the director, I actually don't want to see him until he comes and we do our scene.
He's in character.
He's in character. I'm a bit of an absolute girl. I don't like to know what's going to happen, which is scary, and I get terrific anxiety about it. Well, I like, because I find it more truthful, because it's the first time you say it. So for me, seeing Christopher Lee coming out of the dark shadows in the church, deconsecrated church, and then seeing him 6'4", I was sort of barefooted in a little black shawl, and he came out and he had the eyes, had the red eyes and the white face and the cloak, and so imposing and so menacing he looked. And I just became that little character. I was so rebellious at that time. I became rebellious. So yes, he was instrumental in me thinking I wanted to carry on.
And a very smart man. I understand he spoke like 5 languages. He was a very smart guy, yeah.
Super bright, yes, very, very clever.
Another great Hammer person who acted with, who I met at a convention in 1975. Peter Cushing, who was just as kind. This was a guy who was signing at the famous Boston's convention in 1975. He was only supposed to sign for 45 minutes. He signed for every kid that was on that line. I was a senior in high school at the time. He signed for everybody on that line and didn't charge a penny.
Nice.
And he was just as kind and shook everybody's hand. He was just as kind to every person on that line. Memories of Peter Cushing.
Cushing, yes, again, I was so lucky. I had the opportunity to work with him in the Dracula AD, but I didn't do any scenes with him, but I would sit in the dressing room, we would talk, and I found it utterly charming. But the next time I actually got to work with him for 6 weeks solid was on a film called At the Earth's Core, which is a famous production. It's sort of fantasy children's production, Edgar Rice so I really got to know him then. And he was, I think, I defy anybody to say a bad word about him, because he was so sweet. He was charming, again, very modest and kind, so kind. So it was a joy. I'd go to work, because there was him, he was a star, with Dracula in the film, the Earth's Core, and then myself. And it was just like we were sort of the 3 musketeers, so we did most of our things together. And he was just delightful to work with. And I watched him. I'm like a little sponge, or used to be, and now by watching the actors, watching him work, what kind of the process that they're going through, and I think it's good to watch somebody like him and Christopher and Roger, because you learn so much. Like, it's not necessarily what they do, it's what they don't do. And for camera, that says a lot, I think. That can really say.
Absolutely. The Captain Credits movie that you were in, that was, I understand, was one of your favorites. Was that supposed to, I read someplace that was supposed to, they were going to develop that to a series, or what happened there?
I don't know what happened. It's sad, because I think people didn't get it at the time. It was a very esoteric film, and I think in many ways it was ahead of its time. It didn't have the usual Hammer it was a great sound film in my mind, and it's gained legs. So that people look at it and think, oh yes, it's actually made more than blood and guts and heaving bosoms. It's a bit more than it's it got something else. And I think the message that Brian Clements, who wrote it and directed it, I just think he's getting the praise. I think it's really cleverly written then. And I think also, I don't know what you think, but a bit of a precursor to Buffy. If you kind of look at it, it was very much ahead of its time. So at the cinema, certainly in England, I don't know anywhere else in the world, but in England, it was late to release. People thought, oh, it's not terrific, and and Hammer were a bit disappointed. But it's gained legs. It seems to have gained legs, and I'm sad that the Herreras, Michael Herreras and Sir James aren't here now to see that it's actually a really decent film. And also Brian, too. Brian knew it was a good film, and Brian wanted to do a second one, and had it been a box office success, which I suppose is all about the money, isn't it, really? Yeah. If it's going to put bums on seats, as we say. But if it doesn't put bums on seats, then, it's not going to do it. But it's a beautiful film, very well crafted. Yeah.
I'm going to open this up to questions now. And just please be direct and speak up. Let's start with the gentleman right here.
With the work that you're doing with Talking Pictures over in England, you're hosting a lot of genre films. Have you had the chance to see any films of Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing that you hadn't seen before? Did they have any sort of impact on you? You thought, oh wow, this is a really good Hammer film I never saw before. Have you seen anything in the midst of what you're doing with Talking Pictures that you hadn't seen before?
I don't know if you could all hear the question, but
about Talking Pictures, working and seeing other films with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, that kind of thing. Other films
yes. I'm doing a thing here called Talking Pictures, and I host a little thing on Friday nights. I mean, I'm not there every Friday night. We record 5 in one day, so and then I get shown and I'm Talking Pictures. Yes, that's an interesting question because a lot of films, to be honest, I haven't seen. But they show a lot of really old, a lot of American films too, some wonderful films. They're way back, black and white films. So I try and stay awake because it starts at 9 o'clock and it goes on till 2:30 in the morning. So every time my daughters come back, I'm fast asleep. They say, what did you talk about this week? And I say, I don't know that is. I can't remember. But there's some great films they show. Some really, really good films. So yes, they are showing them. Yeah, and a lot of, and seeing Peter being bad, and I can't remember the one, which was the one, which is the one that's, about.
The Fly.
Which one?
It's The Fly.
The Fly? Yeah. Sorry?
With the people?
He was in the Twins Eagle, was he too? Yeah. Yes, I had. This is the thing, he was so good at being bad, but he was so good at being good too. That was the real Peter. So yes, I've seen him a lot of, yes, I did see that. That was on Talking Pictures. And of course, Christopher, it goes without saying, we see so much of him, so much of his work.
Questions? Right over here.
All right, thanks, Bob. Caroline, we all know how well and great Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee were wonderful to work with in Dracula 8072. How about their supporting cast and your supporting cast, like Stephanie Beacham and Joanna Key, I believe, was in it. How were they to work with, but the secondary?
Oh, yes, this is on Dracula AD. Yes, as you say, supporting cast. Stephanie Beacham had just come off the Nightcomers, I believe, with Marlon Brando. So that was very interesting. And then you have Michael Kitchen, who's on Foyle's War, and I don't know if anybody watches Foyle's War. We do! Yeah, English. Good, isn't it? It's wonderful in that. So he was in that. Janet Key sadly died very, very young, so she's no longer around. And Marsha Hunt, of course, was in Hair. She was in the original Hair in the stage show in London and the United States. So the supporting cast were amazing. I was a new kid on the block, and I was scared. thought, all these people, especially Stephanie, who couldn't have been more welcoming to me. Yeah.
Questions? How about this side right here? Me? Yes.
Yes. You would look wonderful branches. I love them. Yeah. You look so colourful, fabulous, red.
Can you talk about your involvement with the Ray Harryhausen Foundation?
Oh.
Ray Harryhausen right now,
Yeah.
10,000 fandom alive, and how you're working with them.
It really, yes, Ray Harryhausen Foundation. Well, I feel honoured to be a tiny, tiny part. I'm sort of more a consultant, in fact, to do like the Ray Harryhausen Foundation. I was honoured to be asked. It was Vanessa. It's Tony here, Tam. There's just going to be my Santa. I got my glasses on. I'm kind of going this about, but Tony said, Tony went to school with Vanessa Harryhausen. And so when Vanessa asked me to be involved, I thought, yes, because I always get asked about Ray's films and what's Ray like to work with. And the things that are keeping us alive, and that's down to Vanessa and Connor, who is a curator for they've got a wonderful museum in Scotland. Can't say where because it's a bit secret, but it is a beautiful, beautiful place. And they restored a lot of the creatures, various wonderful creatures. I had fantastic plastic surgery on me. Wow, she looks amazing though. She sort of knew everything. Very impressive. She does, yes, they've all been restored beautifully by an English figurative artist. So yes, to be a part of that is great, and I spread the word whenever I can. I spread the word. And there was, I don't know if it's still on, there was an exhibition in Edinburgh. It was online for a year. Well, again, I don't know if anybody's seen it. I didn't because of COVID. COVID sort of stopped everything. So I haven't stopped the world, isn't it?
Yes.
But we're getting back, aren't we? Absolutely. We're probably getting back. So it's all still mechanical, but we're getting back.
Interesting about Ray Harryhausen. He was at I believe it was the second bash. He attended at the second bash. And I remember he was such a nice guy and had a very, very dry sense of humor. Very dry sense of humor. We would ask him, Ron and I would ask him questions, just to get his reaction, like, so Ray, what do you think of the special effects of the giant claw? And Ray, in that deep voice, would say, I have nothing to say.
He did. He actually had quite an English sense. Because he lived over there for so long. I mean, American my parents, and he was close around the farm.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, I picked him up at the airport, and I introduced myself as Bob Pellegrino. I said, "Oh, Pellegrino, do you know that means Philadelphia?" Very nice guy. Very nice guy. Questions? How about we go in the back? The gentleman right back there. Yes, indeed.
Caroline, wondering, were there any roles or opportunities that you turned down because you felt they weren't right for you?
Roles you turned down that felt right for you?
There's a lot I didn't get. But turned down, I was offered at the same time as I was offered Naomi, I was offered Ursa in Superman. Yes. Yes, I was offered that actually. And I asked my agent, Dennis Bender, what he thought. And he said Bond. He said, you need to do Bond because we know Bond. And Superman is new, or we don't know. It's not quite fantastic. So, but I always say this: Sarah Douglas is Ursa. Oh, yeah. She is fantastic. She's magnificent as Ursa. And I wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have chosen me. I wouldn't. Very sorry.
And all the way in the back, right there. Yes.
I'd like to hear you speak about your musical career and the singles you recorded.
Your music and your singles, yes.
Good. What's the word? Cringe. Cringe. Is this time saying the blonde? What's your name? Dawn. Thank you, Dawn. I did cringe a bit because I'm not a singer. I'm really not a singer. I did a little bit in the church choir. I went to a convent, and so actually we all had to sing in the convent. And I get my friend to sing. She had a great voice. She sang really loudly. and I would just stand there and mime. I sat there and mimed to her singing, because she was loud and forceful, and I thought they wouldn't notice me. So I don't really sing, although there have been, I had a slight foray with, into the singing with somebody in 66, I think it was Tar and Cement, it was called Tar and Cement, written by Mark Words, who did Rosa Jack again. Again, you're old baby, so you wouldn't remember that. But I did get to work at Abbey Road. My dad was there with me, he came along, so I was only 16, I was a baby. So, and I hadn't got it, not for the voice, so legally not for the voice. It was because my dad's friend was a head of depot, and they were looking for a female that could sing a bit. And he thought, he gave me a little test, and he said, yes, she'll be up to mine. And it was my dad's friend. My dad didn't have anything to do with it. But anyway, so it was very well, you're prompting it. And it was, I had a great band, Abbey Road. I had Eric Clapton, I had Steve Howard, yes, I had Ginger Baker, I had Jack Bruce. So they were mine and backing singers. I actually wasn't there when they recorded it, because they recorded it first, and then I had to go and do my bit after. So, but I did even later, with that. And yes, so the backing track is amazing. But I'm sat and this and the flip side is called what's the flip side called? This Sporting Life. And I was 16, and I'd been to a convent, or not a convent, a convent school. So I was 3 years old, and I was singing this song, and it said, the first days, I'm getting tired of running around. I believe I'll get married and settle down, because this old life, this old sporting life, is killing me. I'm 16-year-old, and you can hear Eric Clapton playing this amazing guitar, really raunchy guitar, and this is rather a tiny voice. Anyway, it's kind of funny to listen to. So yes, I do a little bit, but it's really not my thing. Listen, I sing around the house, don't we all, or in the shower.
Yeah.
Amazing acting opportunities and recorded at Abbey Road. What was it like in the 80s with Adam Ant?
Working with Adam Ant.
Yeah, working with Adam Ant. But I didn't sing in that one. And goodness knows why he chose me. But he went to my agent, Dennis Selinger, and said, I think I'd like her for that one. For the video, his sort of 2 shoes I was. Yeah, so he was delightful. Jonathan was absolutely gorgeous too, so I felt slightly intimidated. But he was wonderful to work with, very clever, quite shy, believe it or not, quite shy. He knew exactly what he wanted, and what he did was he showed me the storyboard of what the sort of different things that he was going to do and try and do, leap across the bed. I don't know if anybody's seen it at the Booty Show.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of fun, wasn't it? It was very, very, especially the last bit at the end, where Miss Shoes legs her hair down literally, and prances along with him on that. Yeah, but we had great fun making. I really liked him. I really, really liked him. He was a lovely, bright, clever chap, and he wanted to do acting. That was his thing. He really wanted to do some acting. But yeah, I enjoyed that very much. And he's doing great guns, I believe. He's doing, I don't know where he's touring at the moment, but he's doing all sorts of different things around. So it's exciting. Still going strong.
Questions? Right over here, right in front.
Oh, thank you for being here, Caroline. Are there any either props or outfits that were special to you that you kept after a
props or outfits that you kept?
That's really good. We didn't get to keep them. We had to buy them. To buy them, got a little cheaper, but yeah, obviously big stores get to be getting their Dior or their Chanel or whatever. But I got to get the boots I wore in so lovely, and they were brown suede. They had a little dolphin, little fish, sort of like swordfish, say on the side of them in gold. So I got those. So anything else? I can't really remember what I can. Oh, the bone from 1 million years BC. That was given to me. Yes, I did get that because they did when I worked for Hammer, I did a photo shoot, and the chap Philip Stern, the photographer, had I wasn't wearing a lot, to tell you the truth, but it was sort of a leopard skin sort of thing that they'd made out for me to wear, and I wasn't particularly comfortable in it. And sitting on the floor on this foam rug, which was okay, and then he gave me this thing, this bone, which he said you can have. But it was a bone that, was it Raphael Welsh actually used? Was it Raphael? Yeah, Raphael Welsh actually used in 1 million years BC. I had it, and I have it, but where it is, I do not know. And my daughter's thinking, where is it, Mum? What was done with that? Because I have some pictures of me having it round my neck, the bone. I ain't got them here, but yes, I did get to keep the bone, which is quite something, really.
Okay, questions right here.
When working on the Sinbad movie and Ray Harryhausen, we saw all of the magic he created in the movie. Is he there on the set with the actors, or is all of his work done separately?
Was Ray there for Ray was totally there. He's 100% there. He was there even when they weren't his scenes, because it was his baby. You're going to be there for your baby. He was so there for his baby. So what he would do before the special effects scenes, he had Gordon Hester as the dialogue director, so that was great. So he did all the dialogue, did the actors and things. But when it came to doing special effects, Ray would step in, show us the wonderful, wonderful drawings that he'd done, and then say, now this is the scene, and you get through the drawings, and you see the progression of the drawings. In my case, one of the ones was with the centaur, and he showed me kind of what he wanted. And now he said, Caroline, for you, when you get carried away with the centaur, and the centaur is about maybe as high as the ceiling, maybe 20 foot high or so. And then he said, you've got to imagine it's there, and it's big, and it's heavy, and it's smelling, and all the things that you would hate. So I said, oh, okay. So, right, I'll do my best. So I think for an actor, I like to say actress, actually. But for a person like me, again, I become sponge-like and think, okay, so this creature, which I can't see, obviously it's not there, there's no special effects there, so I have to imagine it. So I become like a child. You know how children play, and they're really so good, you listen to them, you can hear them, you can see them, and they're believing in their little characters that they're carrying out. So if you become sponge-like like that, and childlike, then it hopefully transfers. But what Ray did do for me, I called his big stick. He had, that sounds awesome. I forget me, that's right. Rachel is in the chapel, hopefully. Yes, he did have anyway. He had a very tall prop, and what he did with this wooden prop, he stuck on the top of the prop, he drew a beautiful eye for me. So that was my centaur's eye. So that was my island, and he just wheeled it, and I watched the island. So that was for me. And then he put it on after. He put everything on after. So the actors he shot first, and then he did the creatures afterwards. So incredible. Genius. You look at his work today, and it just still holds up, and he makes the creatures, he makes them vulnerable, he makes them lovable, he makes them frightened, he made them superb. He is the godfather of special effects to me. And it was great.
Okay, how about, gentleman in the back, right there. You.
First of all, my voice shakes a little bit. It's because I can't believe I'm actually talking to you.
So sweet.
My favorite movie of yours is a guilty pleasure. It's called Star Crash.
Chris,
I want to know if you can share anything about that movie, because you were absolutely fantastic at it.
Memories from Star Crash.
Oh, I have many memories in Star Crash. Actually, most of them good. I would say all of them good, because I was working with Luigi, or Louis, as you may be. He had to be Americanized for your market. I don't know why. There's Luigi because it's a very nice name, but yeah, Louis Coates, it had to be for him. And he was great to work with. And of course, I got a chance to work with Christopher Plummer. We were only talking about him hanging on today. Nicest and the nicest, sweetest man to work with, so professional, so fantastic. It was a bit of an honest film, and a lot of it, yes, you had a script, which was loosely followed, but sometimes Luigi would say, he said, Caroline, I don't know here, he said, we do more of the special effect where you find the little green man. I said, oh, okay, I'll do my best. And so you put extra scenes, so it were very, very long hours, and quite unusual conditions, like the top of Mount Etna, which it's an active volcano, so you have all this smoking, stinky, eggy smelling stuff coming out of smoke, basically. And I was walking along with my trusty robot L, and I slipped. I was wearing this ridiculous suit. It was like a plastic. I thought what it looked like, really. It was not a good look, let's say. Not a good look. I was wearing this tiny little strip of black stuff underneath, and this plastic suit over the top. So I slipped because my boots were slipping. And I cut my arm. I felt quite bad when I was leaving. And he said, oh, Caroline, I said, you feel all right? I said, I'm fine, okay, we'll just carry on doing it because it's really cold. So we carried on and we did it. So the conditions were quite hard sometimes, but also I loved it. I loved doing that film. It was fun. It was for children. Luigi loved Ray Harryhausen's work, so he put it in a lot of his stop motion, his own stop motion. We had, I think, and Amanda Van Powder was our special effect man. It was joyous doing it, and of course there was David Hasselhoff. I saw it and I thought, wow, such a beautiful looking man. His hair constant, and a very sweet man. He's a funny man, but a very, very sweet man. And he made a great, what's his name? I want to say Simon. He's so big a prince. He was the son of Christopher Plummer. So I had to go and save him, basically. Stella Star, me. And we had great adventures. And then we had Marjorie Fortner, your own Marjorie Fortner. Oh, big fan of Marjorie.
Yeah, he's an underrated actor. And he's got an interesting life history.
He
was a preacher at one time.
He wasn't he?
He was brought up. He was brought up in a really religious family.
I mean, that's unbelievable. He went on to do some really good stuff. Is he still acting? That's what he does. Don't know. He's still around, I'm sure.
I think we have time for one more question. One more question. And out on the side over here, right here.
Talking about uncomfortable costumes, the costume in Star Crash, was there an incident where you and David Hasselhoff weren't feeling very well?
Yes. Oh, yes. We were down in the caves in Barry, which is way down south, in the boot. If anyone knows what Italy looks like, it turns up boot just the bottom. I like boots myself, but anyway, we were working down there in Barry, and in one particular scene, I had to hang upside down, and we'd eaten something at the local restaurant, and not feeling good. We were doing night shooting in these caves, and that's enunciated in uncomfortable costumes, being hung upside down, trying to do it as loud as you can with all the anyway, and feeling, actually, I'm like quite poorly, careful. So we managed to do it. How we did it, I don't know, but we did it. We held on to ourselves, and we managed to shoot the film. So yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Alrighty.
I think we're done.
Yes,
the time.
and we want to thank you so much. First, Monster Bash. As a little gift, one of our vendors runs a chocolate factory.
Oh.
And I heard you like Oreos, so hope you like this.
I would love it. Thank you. Who is it?
John Sargent, he's actually a vendor outside, and he runs a chocolate factory. We wanted to present that to you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Monster Bash loves Caroline Munro.
I don't think I knew that Caroline Munro could have played Ursa from Superman 2. I love Superman 2. In fact, when I was growing up, I probably watched Superman 2 more than Superman 1. I loved the first film, don't get me wrong, but Superman 2, I watched over and over and over again. In fact, my parents accused me of quote-unquote ruining the movie because I watched it so much. Loved that movie. And Ursa's amazing in that. And when I got a little bit older, yeah, I developed a crush on her, sure. But Caroline Munro in that role? Wow, that would have been cool. Or at least cool to think about. Mike, thanks for sending in that recording. I appreciate you. Listeners, between Mike and, well, somebody else who shall remain nameless at this point, I've been told that some more recordings from Monster Bash could be sent my way. Do you want to hear them? I know I want to hear them. Let me know what you think. Give me a call at our new voicemail line, 360-524-2484.
3 outlaws from the planet Krypton, each with powers equal to Superman, seek absolute control.
Superman!
And now, the adventure continues in Paris. And on the moon, the romance continues.
General?
If you've only seen the first part, you haven't seen the best part. Superman 2.
My name is Bond. James Bond. Since we first met, you've joined me on 9 of my missions. My latest, and if I'm not careful, my last assignment, will take me to new heights of adventure. New depths of danger. And new areas of excitement.
I have a message for you.
I think you just delivered it. I will come to grips with my most formidable adversaries, be up against the most fascinating women, and handle some of the most fantastic equipment you've ever seen. It won't be easy. But every job has its rewards. In this case, it's the spy who loved me.
Well, that brings us down to the end of the episode. To the end of the episode. I don't know what I'm saying. It's the end of the episode. Thank you for being here. Big thanks to Mark. Big thanks to Mike. And big thanks to you for being part of what we do here on Monster Kid Radio. If you want to interact with us here at Monster Kid Radio, well, go over to monsterkidradio.net, because this is where you're going to find links to everything. Our Facebook page, our Facebook group, our Twitter, our Reddit, our Discord, our Patreon, where you can send smoke signals or the messenger pigeons, and even how to tune into us with your interocitor. Everything's over there at monsterkidradio.net, as well as links to everything else that we've talked about here on the show. Monster Bash Summer 2022 may be done, but Monster Bash continues to roll forward with new events coming up. I'll make sure there's a link to Creepy Classics webpage so you can check that out as well and see what they've got coming up. Speaking of coming up, what's coming up next week on the show? I've got not 1, not 2, but actually 3 different emails out to various people right now trying to set up some recordings for Monster Kid Radio. I'll keep you posted, but if just one of these turns out to work, it's going to be awesome. I'm sure I'll get all 3 to work. It's just a matter of getting the timing right. So I'll keep you posted over at monsterkidradio.net if I can. Otherwise, just come back here next week for more Monster Kid Radio goodness. If you have any feedback for the show, email me at monsterkidradio@gmail.com, or I mentioned the voicemail line, and this is a new voicemail line as of last week or so, 360-524-2484. And hey, if you are in the Portland, Oregon area, and you hear this in time, tomorrow, Saturday, July 9th, 9 p.m. at the Hollywood Theater, Portland, Oregon, the original Conan the Barbarian in 35mm. Is it a monster movie? By the strictest definition, I don't know. But Y'all know that I love me some Robert E. Howard. Y'all know that I love Conan the Barbarian. And there are some monster-ish kind of things in it. And I'd be willing to bet it may have been covered in a genre magazine or two back in the day. Maybe not Famous Monsters. I don't know. I'd have to check with Kenny. But I'm going. I'm bringing my Zoom recorder. I'm going to try to capture some audio from the screening, even if it's just me sitting there in my movie theater seat talking about how excited I am to see Conan the Barbarian. And hey, if you are in the Portland, Oregon area and seeing Conan in 35mm on the big screen isn't enough to draw you out, my girlfriend Beth is going to be with me. So if you ever wanted to meet my girlfriend Beth, this is the place to do it before she appears on upcoming episodes of Monster Kid Radio. Because yes, she will be on Monster Kid Radio. I don't know if you just heard that, but my phone started ringing. Probably ought to answer that and probably ought to get this out to y'all. So until next week, remember that Monster Kid Radio is a registered service mark of Monster Kid Radio, LLC. All original content of Monster Kid Radio by Monster Kid Radio, LLC is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 unported license. Of course, that doesn't apply to the song Shaky Dracrophobula. That is copyright 2021. The Wet Ones. Check it out on their album, The Monster of Jungle Island, over at thewetones.bandcamp.com. My name is Derek M. Cook. I'll talk to everybody next week. Bye, Crom. Ciao.